All right, so it's been at least 5 months since my last update. Last time I basically just had a guy walking around in a room, and that's it. There was no sort of solid gameplay system, and that's what I've been working on lately. So I'm just going to go through with the demo really quick, and after that, if you want to stay, I'm just going to talk about the tech and how it's done. If you're not interested, I totally get it. This is some really geeky stuff. So everything you see is placeholder art. Please bear with me. I don't know who this character is. It's likely not going to be the character in the final game. This environment that I call the factory, I have no idea what it is. It's just I just needed something to work with, so I just drew it myself. Hopefully one day I'm going to have a very talented artist that's going to help me make this look even better. There's still no sound, so it's just going to be the sound of my voice for now. Bear with me. Uh, so yeah, so we've got basic locomotion. I'm still sticking with this sort of foreground occlusion kind of thing. I like it. It does put a lot of constraint of what I need to do as far as palettes and backgrounds and things like that. So it basically means anything that is around an area uh, where the hero can be occluded, or any kind of enemy actually can be occluded, needs to be the background colors. So I'm sticking to that. We'll see. Right now I'm using green, blue, and emphasis to sort of avoid having a white background. We'll see later what I do as far as palette goes. So let's see what this store does. It doesn't open, unfortunately. Uh, Also, yeah, talking about foreground occlusion, there's also these scenarios that are kind of a little bit annoying to handle, but it works really well. I can have objects that occlude the feet of the character, but not the head. It works really well. So let's see what's happening in this other room. Not much. All right, it's a dead end. So let's go up north. Oh, another door. All right, let's try this keypad thing. Yeah, obviously we don't know the code. So let's imagine our character has some upgrade or some hacking skill that it has learned at some point in the game. So we're going to try to hack this thing. I'm just going to pause here. If you don't recognize this, this is a straight ripoff of the hacking minigame in Prey. All these type of stealth game, Deus Ex, System Shock, they all have some kind of mini game gimmick for hacking. This is my favorite one so far. So you have you are this little top ball in the top left, and you need to reach this circle in the bottom right. And whenever you hit one of those bumper, you bounce off it. But if you hit the red one, you get frozen for like 60 seconds, 60 frame, 1 second. So let's try to reach the target. Oh, I got frozen here. I'm pretty bad actually. All right, I made it. So we've successfully hacked the keypad. Let's make our way into the next room. So here is our first NPC, and the only NPC is an absolute moron. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't have any collision. He just follows a path. He's a robot. So this is going to be the focus of my next milestone, to have some kind of real NPC logic, real collision, real gameplay. So let's see if there was another way we could have approached this keypad situation. So we notice in this room there's an air vent there. It's very mysterious. Let's see if there's a way to define where it connects. Here we're gonna have to use our imagination. This hero doesn't have any combat abilities yet. I don't have any bombs, explosive, or wrench. But let's imagine we can destroy this crate here. It's just gonna disappear. And we can open the air vent, and we can sneak into the little room that we saw. I absolutely hate this animation, but that's all I have right now to work with. All right, we made it into the little room. Let's see what this computer has to say. So this first email talks about the robots starting to act crazy. This lady has some information. Oh yeah, she has the door code 1234. How easy. And this guy is making fun of my art. So let's see if the door is going to open from the inside. It does. All right, let's go try our new code. Let's run for it. All right, it works. All right, we're back exactly where we were, so not very surprising. All right, so if you want to stop the video, no problem. I'm just going to go through the tech that makes this thing work. So this is my little editor. You might have seen it in my previous update. It has received a lot of new functionalities, but nobody cares. I use it for every sort of screen that you saw in the demo. Everything it uses this editor. A lot of stuff. I try to keep stuff as data driven as possible. So right now we can see the collision, the foreground occluders, and all that stuff. It's a bunch of debug info. One of the new features I've added since last time is this sort of layer functionality. So the air vent, they're basically just layers. They're just on top of whatever the background is, and I can show them and hide them. They use a slightly different compression than the regular level, but they work really well. The sort of glue that connects everything you see is this sort of scripting language that was sort of open on the side. We'll get to that in a second. What we need to learn about first is there's three things. There's these locator, which are basically just points that can be referenced in the script. Oops, I moved it. There are areas, triggers, which are these sort of areas, these rectangles that reacts to when the player touches them. And there's a third thing that is the blue line that you see here, which is what I call a route, which right now is used as a patrol path, but later it could be used as many things, let's say for cutscenes or things like that. All right, let's go back to factory one. All right, so this scripting language, it's a very simple scripting language. It's basic. It's literally the language basic. It gets compiled to some kind of bytecode if you want to see what it looks like. When I export the data, it actually generate all the bytecode as well as some kind of disassembly next to it to help me debug some stuff. It is not meant to be something that's called hundreds of times per frame. Obviously, it's very inefficient. It's something that's only meant to react to some specific gameplay events and just glue all the logic of the level together. So we're just going to analyze this one because I think it's interesting. So when the level is loaded, this is called unlevel initialize. We play two background animation. We're going to play the little fan animation at the locator fan. So right here, we're going to play this this animation that you recognize. So it's just going to play there in a loop. Also, we're going to play another a door animation, but we're going to start it in a pause state, and we're going to keep a handle to it. So this is this animation. It's going to be paused, so it's going to look like it's closed, and we're going to keep a handle to it so we can sort of play it forward and backward to simulate a door opening and closing. Obviously, that's not how you would make a door work if you have 5 doors in every room for the entire game. Right now, this is just this is really good for prototyping. I can just do whatever I want with this. So you can see there's this trigger here, that what I call it's called trigger door in the script. The reason why we weren't able to open the door is because it's not long enough. It's actually only possible to open the door from the outside. So when this trigger is touched, we play the door animation in a forward manner. We unpause it and we play it forward. And when the trigger is untouched, we play the animation backward. So that's how the door essentially works. It's just an animation playing. There's no notion of door. The engine doesn't know what a door is or anything like that. The two other triggers are north and east. These, when they're touched, they simply trigger what I call level transition, which means it's going to do a little fade out. It's going to move the camera and just load the next level. It needs to know a heading, the sort of the direction that you're going to play the animation right, and it needs some kind of offset because my levels aren't all the same size. So to properly align them to compensate for the different sizes, there's some kind of offset here that need to be baked in. On meta tile action, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but long story short, it's a system where in my tile set I can have these tile, what I call tile classes, which allows me to give some kind of logic to meta tiles. Either when you activate them, when they take damage, when you touch them, etc. You can have a series of events being executed when something happens. This is designed to mimic some kind of system. Like here, Link is going to damage these bushes. What happens? You play a little animation, you swap the meta tile, and maybe you drop some loot. There was a little piece of heart there. So that's kind of what it's designed for. So eventually, it's going to have a lot more functionality. Right now, one of the things it can do is that when you activate it, it can actually call a script function. So again, we're going back to that script. So when you activate the air vent, I show layer 0, which was the layer we were looking at earlier, which is this guy here. When you activate the keypad or the computer, we start the keypad minigame or the computer minigame and all that stuff. Ungame event is just a miscellaneous callback. Right now, it's used to get notified when the keypad is successfully activated, when we either hack it or type the right code. And then what happens is that we set a timer for 60 frames, and in the 60 frame, we open the door, and so on. We can look at the script for the next room. The only different thing is here we spawn an NPC of the type robot, and we spawn it at the location robot. So there isn't much to say about this room. Right now, my NPCs are super dumb anyway. So I'm just going to go through random features that have been added since last time. I have tech support, so you can create fonts. Right now I have one that's transparent, one that is opaque. So all these characters, basically all my fonts are always complete. They always follow this sort of character set. They always have all the letters, all the symbols, but that doesn't mean you have to use all of them. When you create a tile set, you have the choice to embed a font in it. And let me see all that. You can embed a font, but you can also choose which character you want. So for example, if I know I'm not going to use any of the number, I can just remove them and they're going to be gone for the tile set. And when you export that, it's going to create what I call a font mapping, which is going to map all the possible font character to what actually exists. And it can also do things like, for example, if you exclude the uppercase letter, it's going to map them to lowercase and vice versa. So if eventually I run out of space and I realize I can't have both uppercase and lowercase, it's not going to be a big deal for me. I'm just going to remove the letters from the tile set, and that's going to be it. Also, using sort of a standard sort of text encoding allows me to use. It's going to allow me to use the same type of compression for every text string in the game. Right now, all my text string are in this table. When you export, I do a very simple bigram analysis. So I find all the very often repeated pairs of characters, and I sort them, and I apply compression. So you can expect to save 40 to 50% of the text space when you do that. It's very standard stuff. Other things that have been added. Oh yeah, I support copy pasting from Asprite, so I can just select something here. I can create a new meta tile, and I can just paste it, no problem. It also works for more advanced stuff. For example, this is something that actually has 2 palettes in it. Sort of the face of the character is sort of like Mega Man. It uses different palettes, so let's see how that works. I can just paste, and now the engine is the tools are going to detect that, hey, there's 2 palettes here. What do you want me to do? So I can actually decide how the sprites are going to be extracted from that. So I can place the square exactly to the 8 by 8 pixel of her face, and this other pixel, whatever. This is not stuff that's really in the game, so it doesn't really matter. So if we set the real palette here, hero skin, you can see it worked really well, and you see that the face is actually a separate sprite, much like Mega Man. So that works well. Other miscellaneous things, animated palettes, they're just they can be keyframe optionally. That's about it, honestly, for this update. Well, as usual, thank you so much to everybody who has ever answered my question on the forums. I ask a lot. Thank you to Sour for developing Mezen. You are so cool. You are helping me so much. And stay posted for an update in maybe, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months. I'll keep working on it. Thank you so much. Bye.